Good evening, everyone. I'm going to grind this one out, so we'll get to it. I'm doing educational funding, and so I asked you guys in the survey, and I had 13 of you respond, just a little more than half, and every one of you said you're for public education, which is fantastic, because if not, well, that's my speech a little bit. But the bias is probably because we're in PA here, and I'm sure a lot of you are from this area, which we found out earlier in this class. And PA is, as you can see from the key, in the top 10 in the U.S. when it comes to education. So we all came from great educational backgrounds. And also 2 years ago, Pittsburgh was the #1 city of education in the U.S. So there's a little fun fact for you. I also wanted to ask, how much does federal government fund public schools? So as you see, I gave you the choice of 8%, 16, 25, and 48. And all of you really have no idea, so you kind of just shot. So I'll tell you here in a second. So the breakdown is from state provided nearly half of school funding. So as you can see, state revenue is about 47% of our schooling. And then our federal is actually only 8%, so even though you think the government is making cuts, it does affect our schools, but not as much as you possibly would think. And also local revenue is about 45%, so that's also close to about half. So do you think more money should be put in our education, and why? Majority of you said yes. Actually, all of you said yes that responded to it, and then your responses with the why was typically some corny response saying like, because education funds all professions and yada yada yada, stuff like that. But I'm on board with you, or I wouldn't be telling you about it. So what does it cost to run a school? On average, a child for the school year costs about $10,615 per student. That's a big chunk of change more than you're paying here. So, and that could vary anywhere between $6,000 in Idaho to up to over $20,000 per student in New York and some of the other states up in the Northeast region. So why do we need to keep funding education? And this is a big reason, is education is headed towards robots leaving our classroom, and that would be terrible. These robots are actually designed to teach autistic students about emotions. So riddle me this one, how are you going to have robots that don't show emotion teach students that struggle with emotion about learning about emotion? Doesn't make a lick of sense to me. I don't know about any of you. So that's why we really need to put funding into it. So state government, or what the government is proposing, this is this year's budget, or budget for the government, and Trump believes that one of the best ways to improve equality in our schools is to give parents the information and opportunities or options necessary to make the best choices for their children's education. School choices increase equality for national students and families by placing power in the hands of parents, families, and schools. It's pretty much just saying we need to be equal. We need to be equal, and we need to fund our schools. But they are given $1 billion into Title I more than they have in the past, which is fantastic, because what Title I is supplying the schools that are from lower education, which is actually about anywhere from 40% or more of their students are from poverty line or around the poverty line. Then they get this extra funding to help make their class and their school equal. However, they're putting $167 million into charter schools, which is good because it is more schooling and they are funding more schools, but at the same time, it is a bad downfall. What a charter school is a school that receives government funding but does not operate operates independently of the established state school system that it's located in. So even though your school or district or local district might have their local public school, you can also have a charter school that does not have to follow those same guidelines. So that's why it's a negative thing. Same time, that means they don't have to follow your state standards, national standards, and all that, which the majority of you, I'm sure, probably had to follow. That's our SATs, our PSSAs, and all of our state things. They don't have to take it. That goes along with private schools too. They really pretty much are neglected because operates independently. So they really don't go through the government, even though the government does fund them, which doesn't make any sense really. So that's why we need to put more money into our public education. So that, like I said before, our national state standards, Title I, so if it's independently run, then it's not getting that Title I funding, and it's hurting our Title I schools because it's taken away from our Title I funding. Also, special education, because our goal is to incorporate these kids with disabilities into our general education classes and get everyone used to the kids with disabilities, so when they're out in the public, no one's really discriminating against them. But because these charter schools and private schools that people were sending them to, they're not having that educational or that special education funding. So they're having to go to their own schools, such as like a Watson Institute or another school specialized for special ed, and they're not in the general ed classroom anymore. So it's still taking away that bias, and still it's going to separate them even further. So here's a little picture. This is the state of Kansas, and it's happening everywhere. And it says nearly 50% of districts have seen an average class size grow, which I'm sure you all have. I know I have in school from kindergarten up through high school. My classes got almost 10 more kids. Over here, about 30% of districts have either reduced or eliminated extracurricular activities. So that means no more sports. That's no more after-school activities such as plays, groups and clubs, tutoring, all these other things that help with that. I'm sure all of us have participated in some way, some form. That's even field trips. How many of you always look forward to the field trip towards the end of the school year? Yeah, no more. So yeah, that's out the window. And then in the middle here it says, Kansas schools have gained more than 19,000 students, but have 665,000 fewer teachers. So the students are growing, why are we having less teachers? And that's why. Showing our class sizes are getting a lot bigger and students are having a harder time learning. And then throughout this question, do you think college should be free? And got mixed reviews here, maybe no, and a little bit of yes too. But starting this past fall in the state of New York, if you lived in New York your entire life, you were eligible for free tuition. That means you still have to apply and go through a whole process. But it's only applicable for students that their family's total income is less than $100,000 a year. And then these are just a few other countries that have free tuition for college and actually are doing very, very well with it. And another place is Canada even has not entirely free tuition, but they apply for so many grants, and through their grants they end up getting free tuition. So what do we need to do? We need to get informed and push for more education, because our future relies on the younger generations. Without the younger generations being educated, we are not there, and we are going to go downhill. So eliminate the budget cuts and support our schools. Thank you.